Do you ever wonder which Call of Duty Black Ops multiplayer maps the developers are playing in the office? Or which maps they think are the best designed across the whole series? Well, wonder no more as IGN sat down with senior Call of Duty Black Ops developers, many of whom have actually created some of the most popular Call of Duty maps of all time, to answer once and for all which Black Ops multiplayer maps truly are the best.
As far as my favorite maps, can you guess which one I'm going to say first? I think I kind of have to mention Nuketown when it comes to talking about favorite maps, right? But I kind of have fond memories of it more because of the development than anything else, and kind of how it came about. Nuketown was not a production map. This was not a studio said, hey, we're going to make this. It was really just there was an idea kind of being talked about among the team about, hey, what if we make a tiny map based on one of these nuclear test towns that they have, that they used to blow up with nukes, in order to test the nukes. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, I got to do this. It was like, this idea is really cool. So I just started building. It wasn't in the schedule. I just thought I'm just gonna do it because this is just too cool to pass up. So took a couple of days for me to have something playable. I knew right away what I wanted to put in the map, and the idea was, hey, let's take all the elements that we normally would put into a multiplayer map. You've got overwatches and 3 lanes and that kind of thing. Put those all into a tiny map, so it's not just chaos, it's kind of controlled chaos a little bit. What you see now is essentially what I came up with right off the bat, and there's there was a little bit of iteration on some of the cover and things like that, but the team played it and took to it right away. Everybody was like, oh, this is really cool. This is such a fun idea. And because of that, the team just started contributing to the map. FX artists started putting butterflies and sparkles into it and all that kind of thing. And it was just basically a place where we could all just go have fun and do what we want. There were no rules because, this was just, it wasn't a real map, right? We all just kind of put all of the most fun things we could think of into the map. There's the Doomsday Clock, an engineer helped hook up the first mannequin Easter egg, and audio department said, hey, we have this Rolling Stones song that, we have licensed and we, don't have anywhere to use it. So we put that in there, and I guess the rest is pretty much history. There have been, of course, a bunch of different iterations, versions of Nuketown over the years, one for each game. And, I think the original still kind of has a special place in my heart, but I really like the Black Ops 3 one as well. That's one of my favorite ones. Recently, it started occurring to me that probably a large percentage of our players never actually experienced the original one. And so really excited that with Black Ops 6, we now get to basically revisit the original Nuketown and exactly the magic that was the original one, but looking better than it has ever looked. My second favorite, I think, would probably have to be Raid, and that may seem like kind of an easy answer. I know that's one of the more popular maps as well, but the development on that map was a little bit, it was pretty much the opposite of Nuketown because, the map started off a little bit rough. The first iteration didn't work so well. It actually went through several complete redesigns, but each time we iterated, something interesting from the previous iteration was carried over into the new one. And what happened was it ended up being this map full of really cool, little interesting areas, the driveway down into the garage and the roundabout and everything like that. And everything just really kind of eventually came together. That map was a struggle to put together, but really came out to be one of the better competitive maps. So have to say that's probably my next favorite.
Grenade!
So to dive in, talking about multiplayer, this is really difficult for me. I have literally worked on every single multiplayer map since World at War. It is hundreds of maps. So it's like asking me to pick my favorite child. But if you had to squeeze my arm right now, in this very moment, my highlights would be Carrier from Black Ops 2. I have really fond memories of this map because we really challenged ourselves to do something we had never done before. We knew going in it was going to be a super tough design because no one would ever make a multiplayer map on top of a carrier because it's flat. And so we knew going in is how we're going to make this fun. But we also knew that there was awesome carrier moments from the Black Ops 2 campaign, right? When you're on the USS Obama and it's blowing up and the drones are attacking. And we wanted to replicate that in multiplayer and have that connectivity across. That was a big thing even back then. And I think we've really grown in that maturity as well. And so it took a lot of iteration. How do you bend the deck and it feel natural? And how do you have the planes that you can use them? One of the early versions, you could literally get in a plane and use it and shoot missiles from it, but that didn't work out. And so just constantly iterating on finding the right home for the carrier was a lot of pain, but was a lot of fun as well. And I think that's really, for me, where we kind of got, we'd almost say our DNA of challenging ourselves. We're not going to rest on our laurels. Let's do something new and fresh every single time. So I think we landed in a place that was really fun. Of course, if we look at it now, there's probably a million problems we would do better, but experience and hindsight. But that one was a really fun favorite one. Next for me would be Kowloon from Black Ops 1. This is another one. You're going to see a recurring theme here where we've really challenged ourselves. One is the connection across the game. I remember seeing the campaign team and when they would build Kowloon, and one is it's upsetting, but two, some of the moments that they're putting glass in someone's mouth and punching them. It's so iconic with the rain and the lightning and everything. And this player fantasy where you're not supposed to be was really exciting. And so we wanted to bring that to multiplayer again to get this connectivity across and kind of relive that sort of campaign moment. And so again, this was a hard one because we wanted to have all the roofs, and we had this idea of, if you look at real Kowloon, the buildings are separated. How can you have a separated giant hole in the center of a multiplayer map? And this is when we actually had the first zip line in a multiplayer map. And this was awesome because you could cut across the whole map. And I have fond memories because we had monkeys in cages as well. There was a cool landmark and sound. Like, there's just so much in that was really exciting and new. It also had a really cool spawn moment where a plane came flying over at low angle, right? Like, just really cool stuff we were really pouring into and challenging ourselves on that. Like, how do you script that at spawn? How do you get animated monkeys in? Things we hadn't really done before. A zip line in the gameplay. And it all came together. It's one of my favorite maps gameplay-wise, just player fantasy-wise. I would love to try to bring it back or do an evolution of it or something because it's got really cool stuff. The last one for the multiplayer would be Evac from Black Ops 3. Again, you're going to hear this is a challenge because we did advanced movement in Black Ops 3. And this was a ginormous change coming off of Black Ops 2. And again, we challenged ourselves. Evac was really the first sort of playground where we started to figure out our legs on what advanced movement was. How do I wall run? How do I combo all these things? And how do I build a map to take advantage of those things? And if you look at Evac with like the middle cut through and how it kind of cuts on the side lane over by the little sort of pool on the glass, it was really this playground of fun. And I have really fond memories with the team where we're playtesting and it was like, hey, it would be cool if you could do this. And then we would do it, right? And you would play and it was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could jump in the middle and wall run and combo off this? And then we would go and try it. And so it was this evolution of finding our legs. And again, what I think has kept me at Treyarch so long is we constantly are challenging ourselves, right? BO2 to BO3, drastically different games and experiences. And I think that's what I love about that. So Evac would be my final multiplayer map.
Enforcer defeat.
So I would say my favorite multiplayer map has to be The Program. It is a fun map to play. It's a small, compact map, and it's basically in this crazy, fragmented mind of Adler, right? And I love the art style. The team did a great job of that. But what I really love is actually those interesting close quarter engagements that I get to have with the enemies, mainly because I'm a SMG player at heart, and I love getting up and close and personal with my enemies while I kill them, and that's just so satisfying for me. So I love that map for that reason. But the other reason for it is a little bit biased because I did work on it. So I worked on the red door designs for that map. So basically, those red doors allows players to teleport into this lab area. It is like a power position where you could basically snipe all the folks down in the main road area of the map. And it is a place to contend and to fight for. And what I did basically there is the teleporting mechanic, but then I also have to figure out how to work on the spawns and making sure players can't just go into that lab and spawn trap the other players coming into from those teleports, right? So, which made it an interesting, challenging puzzle for me and the level designer I worked with on that. And so we couldn't use the spawn system that we had in general, mainly because it was such a small area, it wouldn't quite make sense. So basically I had to dissect our spawn system and like ripped out all the pieces and made it like this basic form of spawn system that still checks the right elements so that it allows for players to spawn in safely and so that they don't get killed as soon as they spawn in, right? And then the level design side wise, we figured out like we had to have 2 separate rooms so that if one player is camping on one side, we can safely spawn them in the opposite side. So there was a lot of challenge. There was a lot of playtests, trial and errors. You have no idea how many playtests we did on that one particular map. But I think what we delivered was turned out pretty great, and the fans loved it. So yeah, I'm happy with what we delivered. So the second map I would say that I love and all of Black Ops is Standoff. It is one of the classic maps from Black Ops 2. There's this church and with this big long road down the middle. That's where the B-Dom is, and snipers on either side basically fight, duking it out. There's no safe space for that B-Dom, but that's what I love about it. It's like a battle for the middle domination point, and then you can use, like I said, I'm an SMG player, so I love doing all those flanking routes and getting close to those snipers and basically taking them out. It's such a satisfying experience because those guys who kept sniping me, I now get to basically get a leg up on them and basically attack them from behind. So I love that about it for that map.
I've got you.
My favorite multiplayer map would have to be Firing Range. It's gone through a couple different reskins and aesthetic changes, but we're talking about like just the close quarters encounters within the trailer section, the central tower, and how you should take that if you could handle the heat in terms of head on a swivel, constant grenade spamming. If you pop a trophy system down and you have a good rifle, at least with extra mags, you can hold it down as long as you got good aim. So it's definitely a fun map. And the second map, I would say, from multiplayer side, it would be Cracked. There was just a lot of internal playtests with Cracked that I felt like I had so much fun playing, especially when the RCXD came online. Cracked is one of those medium to larger size maps with a lot of no man's land, so there's just traversals without a lot of cover. So I would pop my RCXD down and ultimately use it as a ground UAV initially until I would find a target, but then use my knowledge of where I saw enemies on my drive to engage what I would do next. So Cracked was just a very intense map, especially in domination. Cracked had a B flag on the rubble, if my memory serves, center building rubble, and it was just the most dangerous position to try to overtake. So having a friend with an RCXD usually helped. They would go clear it, then you would go and try to just go prone somewhere and hide and take that flag point. But yeah, just Cracked is just a great map. It just had the Vietnam aesthetic of Black Ops 1 come through that map a lot.
My favorite map to play on would probably have to be Raid from Black Ops 2. And I know it's a fan favorite, and there's a reason for that and why we keep bringing it back in later games. Not only do like the battle spaces in Raid have some interesting elevation changes, but they're designed in such a way to allow for multiple play styles and weapon choices. You could be sniping from the overwatches that are overlooking the driveway or the pool, but then decide to switch to a shotgun and push up through the center into the rock garden. No matter what type of gun I decide to roll with, I know I'm going to have a good time on Raid. When I was designing the map Protocol for Black Ops 6, I really wanted to take some of those high-level design ideas that I enjoyed in Raid, like the terrain elevation differences and the variety of battle spaces that lean into these different playstyles. But I wanted to kind of push those design ideas further to try and take advantage of our new Omni movement system so that no matter what gun I played with in Protocol, it would be fun. And I would also feel like an action hero fighting through these battle spaces. So it's like my hope that if you like playing Raid, you're going to like playing Protocol when Black Ops 6 comes out. Another favorite map is Satellite from Cold War. The reason for that is I actually got to be involved with almost every aspect of the map, from paper design to design complete to the final art detail of the map. And, it was really neat experience because I also got to be involved with the photogrammetry team to help generate assets for the map. While we were putting this all together, it was a very interesting design challenge because this map is very terrain heavy, with no structures except for the wreckage of the satellite up on the center hill. And it also leans into that King of the Hill type gameplay where, you're fighting over the high ground to try and control the map. But with that map as well, I also tried to make it so all different types of gameplay styles could be used on that map. So if you want to snipe, you could go out to the dunes. If you wanted to run and gun with like a shotgun or an SMG, you could go right down the dry riverbed and try and flank around to get up on top of the hill with the satellite. So, it was a lot of fun trying to explore what could be done with the desert biome and, lean into this natural terrain heavy map. The last map I like to play is Pines from Cold War. It's mainly for nostalgic reasons. It reminds me of the mall where I grew up on the East Coast. And, it has like an interesting design choice. In the center of the map, you have the high side versus the low side, and makes for some really interesting engagements. And the way you're able to kind of use the stores on the map to flank and go through and try and one-up the other team. But it's also, when you're going through these other stores in the mall, the art team did a great job bringing all the stores to life and making it feel like you're in the 90s again.
My favorite Black Ops multiplayer maps are all from Black Ops 2. I could really pick any map from Black Ops 2, but I particularly liked Express. I think the verticality and the way that map was designed was very cool. It was kind of a twist on like traditional 3-lane map design, where there were the parts that you could walk up and over on the stairs to go over the train, as well as some sections on the side of the map that would go down into the terminal area. And having an interactable train that could run you over through the map was really cool. I think the gameplay implications of that were interesting as well, because you could get killed as you're trying to make your way to an objective, or you could take cover behind the train. And I think in Search there was like a middle bomb site there in the terminal, where if you're timing things just right and the train goes by, you can be covered while you're like trying to pull off a ninja defuse or planting the bomb there. That was a really cool map. I also loved both Slums and Yemen in Black Ops 2. I remember being at MLG Orlando and just watching Scump go crazy on I think it was Slums. Yeah, he dropped like a 40 bomb on Unite, I think. That was nuts. It was such a close game. It was incredibly exciting to be there live watching it. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Black Ops 2 competitive scene, so all those multiplayer maps are really nostalgic for me.
UAV on standby.
Those are the favorite Call of Duty Black Ops multiplayer maps according to the developers. Let us know what your favorite Call of Duty Black Ops maps are in the comments, and keep an eye out for all the latest updates on Call of Duty Black Ops 6 right here on IGN.